Hi, I'm Katie with Katie Brings a Book, and today I want to talk about the Goodreads Summer Challenge. So, I do the Goodreads Summer Challenges, and I know that Goodreads, I don't want to know if controversial is the word, but people have strong feelings, I guess. And so, first of all, I don't just use Goodreads. I use Storygraph and Goodreads, but I use them because I use them differently. So, I like both of them, and I keep track of my books that I've read on both of them. I like Storygraph for like the charts, and I like that it breaks down and it tells me like what I've read that month and the different genres I've read. I like all that. I like Goodreads for other things. I like the Goodreads challenges. I like talking about the Goodreads challenges. I like the challenge. I like that a lot of my friends are still on Goodreads, and so we can see what we've read together. And like my history is all on Goodreads, and I know, yes, I can pull it over to Storygraph. There's just some ease of use still on Goodreads. Sometimes it can be hard for me to find like the books I've read on Storygraph. I feel like there's still some glitches there. So I try to support Storygraph because I know it is a Black woman owned business. But one of the biggest reasons I like Goodreads is the challenges. And I feel like Storygraph does have challenges, and I know that, but the Goodreads challenges, I still just like them a little bit better. So that being said, I do them every time, and I've enjoyed them most of the time. There's definitely things that I haven't loved, but this summer set, I think, has been my favorite since they came out. I don't know what it is, but it's like they heard the vibes I was putting out, or maybe my spring. I want to tell myself it was the spring challenge video that I made that they heard me. Probably not, nobody. But I liked these a lot better. Were there things I disliked that I'm going to talk about? Yes. And I would love to hear from you if you do these challenges. Like, what did you think? Because I overall was a much bigger fan. The spring challenges, you can go back and watch the video. Um, I'll link it in the description. I was not a fan of the spring challenges. Okay, I did them, I completed them, but I was not a fan. But I like this. I like the Goodreads challenges. They get me to either read books that have been on my TBR for a while or read books that are a little bit out of my comfort zone. And I like that. Okay. I can get very stuck in a rut, or just always reading the newest book. Like I can just get very stuck. And I like the Goodreads challenges because they get me a little out of that rut. I like the summer challenge. So let me tell you what the challenges were and what books I read for them and what I thought about each individual challenge. So the first three are always like read a certain amount of books. It's usually 2, 3, and 5. I would be happy if we did away with those. I don't see the need for them. Um, and I can show you on my tablet. This is what it looks like. So you get these little bookmarks on Goodreads for each one you completed. As you can see, I'm still working on this last one, but I'm in the middle of reading the book for this last one. So that's why I'm here. So these first three are, did you finish two? I think it's 2, 3, and 5 books in the time provided. This was July, August, and for the first half of September. You had to complete these. Most of them were open for the whole time. I think like one or two opened up in the last little bit. Two. Literally Summer and Summer Encore opened up later. First of all, I loved that so many opened in the beginning, and I know a lot of people didn't, but I did because it let me plan out when I was going to read when. Big fan. Big fan of opening them all up first. Goodreads, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so the first three, easy peasy. Next one, they usually give us a community pick, and this one was decades. The community voted. I did not pick this option. A book from the 90s, and it gave us like certain options from each year of the 90s. I don't love books from the 90s, but one of my all-time favorites is a 90s book, and so I reread The Alienist. I love The Alienist. I love it, love it, love it. All things love. So excited to reread. It is deep. It is dark. It is heavy. It's a lot of pages. 498. Couldn't make those last 2 to 500. We couldn't get the anyway. So the first one for our 90s pick, I'll show you. I do like the bookmark for this. I wish we could actually get these bookmarks, by the way. Goodreads, can we make that happen? For my 90s community pick was The Alienist. there wasn't a lot that this is probably the only one I wanted to read. Okay, but I get that we let the community decide on 90s books. And I did like that there was some like set in the 90s. So that helped a little bit. There was one that I wanted to read there. But I loved rereading The Alienist. I was a fan. Okay. The next one was Challenge Faves, and that was like I'm pulling it back up. Halfway through the year, books that have been read, the most books read in this year's challenges. Like, that's kind of determined by the challenges, I felt like. But they're very popular books, and it was divided by genre, and there was a lot to choose from, and I was okay with that. So, I'd read a lot of, they were fine. They were fine. So for this one, I read a book that actually featured for two, and I'll talk about it when I get to that. I'll talk about this book again when I get to the other one, but I read it on my Kindle, so I don't have it. It's House on the Cerulean Sea. I'll put it right here. I loved it. It was so cozy. And after I read it while reading The Alienist, and it was the perfect, like, they're both about like found people in your life, but while The Alienist is dark, The House on the Cerulean Sea felt like a warm hug to me. So I really enjoyed it. I want to read the second one. It was a 5-star for me. So The House on the Cerulean Sea on my Kindle, loved it. I did feel one downside I felt like to the summer reading challenge was that it was a lot of popular books. And one of the things I like about Goodreads is sometimes it brings me less popular books that I wouldn't normally read. So I did want more. I would have loved to have books that weren't just like less that were just the popular books of the right now. And I know that's what the 90s one was for, but maybe at least, I don't know. It's a balance, I know. Anyway, House on the Cerulean Sea was fantastic. It was everything to me. Okay, so the next one was Chart Toppers, which books that were most popular so far this year. Hit new books of the year. Okay. Very similar. Some of them were very similar to books that had been chosen for the challenge this year. But they were books that have come out this year that were very popular. I had a few I could have chosen. The one I chose was Kin, Book of the Month. I've been wanting to read this one, and it also counted for another challenge, which I'll get to in a minute. And I loved this book as well. It did. I will say this summer reading challenge gave me some serious 5 stars. Like it was glorious. It was glorious. 5 stars. Beautiful book. Emotionally deep. I loved it. I loved this book. So, it was beautiful. It's beautiful. So for that, I will take the hit new books of the year so far. And this is the bookmark that it came with. Hit new books of the year. Okay. And I got that one done pretty quickly. Like I read it in 1-2 days and I stayed up late to read it. This next one was a very interesting concept. It's called Staff Shelves. They took some staffers and people connected to Goodreads and they said, what are your like top 4 books? I think it was 4 books of your life. It was very eclectic book mix. And so when I said, there are some less known books, it was such a weird mix of books. But that was fun. It was like, this was the one that pushed you out of your comfort zone. Like you had to get deep. And so I had a hard time picking from this one, but there was one on my shelf that was intimidating to me. There were some intimidating books. There was not a lot of light fluffy. And whereas a lot of these were like newer books, this was not new books. A lot of them, they were deeper books. And I kind of liked that. So the book that I read for this was The Lion Women of Tehran. I'm glad I read it. Not light fluffy, but very good, very deep. I felt like these 2 books together, I didn't read them at the same time. I read them, it looks like 10 days apart, but they're similar vibes to me. Really enjoyed The Lion Women of Tehran. And I don't know that I would have picked this up this summer had the Goodreads challenge not pushed me to. And that's why I love the Goodreads challenges, because it pushed me to read a book that I've been wanting to read, but I wasn't necessarily going to read, if that makes sense. This next one is another one that stretched me. And this is, again, why I love the Goodreads challenges, because it stretched me in a really good way. And a book that I have had on my shelf for a while and people have been telling me to read and is not my norm. And I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I can say I read it. Don't know that I would read it again. But anyway, this next one, and okay, the bookmark it's a little much, but it's called Worlds Away. Can you see the bookmark? It's sci-fi fantasy. Now I have to be in the mood for fantasy. In June, I was in the mood for fantasy. Not when this came out. I was not in the. I read some fantasy in June, and then I was not in the mood for fantasy in July. But this came out, and I could. I was like, I've read the ones I want to read. I really wanted to read I, Medusa for this challenge, but I tried everything to get I, Medusa in. Tried getting it from a local bookstore. They sold the last one. I tried getting it in from the library. It was certain to be in on time. The person ahead of me in line never turned it in. So I had The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer, and the book I ended up reading. I had them on my shelf, and I was having trouble getting it in. But this one, like, I had 2 polls set up of what book should I read, and I did my 8-hour readathon. If you've seen that video, you know what the book is. But this was voted as number 2 on, like, both times I put up the poll, and this book was came in second in both polls. And so I was like, and one of my best friends kept telling me, you have to read this book. So I read it. And I read it during my 8-hour readathon, I think. Did I read it? I finished it, I think, during then. And it's The Book of Doors by Gareth Brown. It was not love. It was fine. It was good. Not love. But I did pass it on to my son because I think he's going to love this book. I don't know what to make of this book. That's kind of how I felt. I was like, it's weird. I don't know. I like time travel. And I like bookish books. Something just didn't hit right for me. I don't know. I know so many people that loved this book. But I think just the vibes for me, I don't know how to describe it. It just wasn't doing what I needed it to do. And do you know I'm still waiting on I, Medusa? Still waiting on I, Medusa. I think I'm just going to have to order it from, like, Barnes & Noble. I like trying to get it from a local bookstore, somebody like that, but I think I'm at the point where I'm just going to order it online because I still really want to read this book. Never did get it. Still try to read it. Somebody told me keep hearing I, Medusa is so good. I still want it. Okay, so that's fantasy. So now we're going to come back around to fact or fiction. I was so excited. They did it, folks. They did historical fiction. And they did it well. Like, I'm sorry, but the spring Goodreads, they did some stuff, but they did not do, like, the historical fiction well. And I keep being like, they did historical fiction options, and they did them well. And you know me, and you know my love of historical fiction if you're here. And they did nonfiction history and biographies, and they had some meh options. Okay, I'm going to be honest. Options I would not have picked. There options that I would have picked and put on here. Yes, but I did not make the list. Goodreads, call me if you want to make another historical fiction list. I'll help you out gladly. Okay, you're not going to call me. We all know. If anybody out there wants to make a historical fiction list for readings, call me or text me or something. I'll help you. Anyway, there were some really good ones on here. There were some really not so good ones, but there were some good ones, I thought. Lion, Woman of Tehran actually counted for this, but I read the other one first, and it actually already counted. It was Ken by Tayari Jones. Fantastic book. It counted for both. There was so many that I've already read on here. I was like, oh yeah, that's a good one. 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 I was like, y'all, it has so many good options. They got it. They did really good. There was some nonfiction on here that I was like, I want that one and that one. I've read that one. I want that one. I want that one. I want that. They did so good. The summer Goodreads, so much better. Also, please somebody make me this bookmark. Goodreads, can we please buy these bookmarks? Please. I want that bookmark. Okay. I do wish they did pretty well. I do wish there had been a little bit more Black history, historical fiction, but that's just me. That's just me. But they did do a lot of minority historical, like it was great. I felt like I did pretty well. I was really happy. The next one, so this is one that opened later in the summer, and I think it was July 15th it opened, but it was called literally Summer and it had to have summer in the title. I think that's a really cool idea. I do, and I already had a book for it, which I thought was really cool. Um, it was a book of the month for me. This was a July book of the month. I had been suggested by my sister-in-law. Summer's Never Over. It was a 4 out of 5 stars. It was a really good summer camp thriller. You want a good summer camp thriller? It was like God of the Woods light. You want a popcorn version of God of the Woods. I enjoyed it, and it counted for me. And I felt like it was a fun summer thriller. I know summer typically is a romance beach read, but I prefer summer camp because that's what I did in high school. This did a great job, and I'll take it. I'll take that. And I'm on. So now I am actually on the final challenge at this moment. So I can't show you the bookmark because I don't have it yet. But I'm reading it currently. So that's why I'm doing the video. Currently reading. And it is called Summer Encore. I have mixed feelings about this one. So it came out August 1st. And it's books published in June and July. Okay. And I had read several of these books already, but I feel very strongly that you should be able to read books and not have to spend money if you don't want to. And not everybody has access to buying books. And sometimes books are difficult to get from your library that have been published recently. I'm one of those people. I'm about to sneeze. And so I struggled with how, and I have a couple people that also do the Goodreads challenge for my book club, and we were talking about this. How feasible is this for someone in what we call a book desert who maybe doesn't have, like a library that has the most recent books in it? And is this Amazon's way of pushing you to buy the book? Is this what are we doing? Because this is the first time we've seen anything like this, where it's like you have to buy a book from the last 2 months. There are some really great books on this list. Don't get me wrong. And I have read a couple books because I have Book of the Month and Aardvark, and I am blessed to be able to do that. But I know many people, like my students, who don't have that ability. And so they can't, and I've been like, times in my life when I couldn't, and I don't always have that ability to, so I really struggled with that. And also because it opened up later, a couple of the books that I was able to buy earlier in the summer had already happened. And so it's like, okay, you have beginning of August through the middle of September, so 6 weeks to buy this book and read it. And so we all really struggled with this one. So anyway, I'm not the one who makes it. Is it a cash grab from Amazon? I don't know. I think the other problem is I wish it had been one of the ones that like maybe opened sooner so we could have planned out buying it for people that maybe didn't have the money. Like Summer's Never Over, which I read for Summer Encore when it opened, is one of the options. And that's not like I had already had it. Anyway, but there is one book I was planning on buying anyway, and because I've been waiting a long time for it and I'm currently reading it, and it's Lady X by Molly Fader. This might be the best book of the summer so far. And I've read some humdingers this summer, but this book is so good. I keep stopping every few pages and looking at my husband and being like, this book is so good. 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 If you like serial killer history, if you like the history of New York City, if you like the 1970s, if you like women revenge stories, if you like, it's just so good. It's dual timeline. It's everything, and I am so not even that far into it, as you can see. And I just keep I'm literally gonna be done filming, and then I'm gonna go read some more because I I wish I could get it done before I have to go like to work tomorrow. It's so good. Um, my only recommendation if you're going to read this book is if you're into like true crime documentaries. I don't want this is not a spoiler. It's just Son of Sam is like referenced a lot in this book, the serial killer. It's not really, at least so far, not spoiling anything to say it's referenced a lot, but I wanted to go rewatch a Son of Sam documentary just to kind of add to the flavor of 1970s New York City. And that did help me a little bit. Like it just visualized and flavorized it a little bit. So this is my last one. I don't know what the bookmark's going to look like because I don't have it yet. But this is the only one where I felt like I have some personal qualms, just some personal about how it was handled. And I felt like it could have been handled better. Just in mind that like not everybody can go and get a brand new book. That's just how I felt. We have to remember that sometimes in our life. But you know, that's just I didn't buy this one. I didn't buy the book off of Amazon at least, just to kind of be like, meh, so there. Um, so that's where that at. But this really is such a good book. So that's my good thoughts on the Goodreads challenges overall. Overall, so much better than the spring challenges. If you do the Goodreads challenges, what do you think of them? What have you thought about the summer challenges? I'd love if anybody does them. Let's connect with me. Let's talk about them. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Again, I know Goodreads is not for everybody. I know it's controversial. I do use Storygraph. I just didn't really, I do overall, I know I've complained, but I do overall enjoy the Goodreads challenges. And for, the stack of books that I read, so this is I read, let's see, total, read The Lion Woman of Tehran, I reread The Alienist, I read Kin, read Summer's Never Over, The House in the Cerulean Sea on my Kindle, and I'm reading Lady X. I probably would only have read Lady X, Summer's Never Over, maybe Kin, but this was probably going to be a put off. So maybe like one or two of these. I read other books this summer, and I'm so glad I read. All of these were books I'm glad I read. Oh, and I read Book of Doors. This one I'm about. But like all of these were on my TBR already. All of these were ones I wanted to read they were all 1-day books. But I got them off of my 1 day and I read them, I experienced them. And that's why I wore this shirt, I have lived 1,000 lives. Because I lived all of these lives books and they were really good and I'm just glad I chose them. So that's why I enjoy the Goodreads challenges, because it allows me to pick books off of a list, but it pushes me outside of like my normal list, if that makes any sense. And so I think I'm going to keep doing the Goodreads challenges. I like challenging myself. I do. I like having these challenges that I do. I liked my summer reading challenge. I like doing the Goodreads challenges, and I read some really good books off this Goodreads challenge. I am looking forward to seeing what the fall challenges look like. What are some things I'm hoping for? I am sure there's probably I'm really hoping there's not a cozy romance. That's one thing I'm hoping for. Please, I'm hoping we don't get another romance challenge, just because I'm not a fall cozy romance person. I would be fine with a fall thriller. I'm hoping for a horror for fall, but then I don't feel like that's fair. If we get a romance, I hope for a horror. Let's like balance this out, people. I would love some kind of minority themed one that was better than what we got in spring. That would be great, because I felt like spring just gypped. Like our Asian American, Black History, all of those were just, they were not so great. So I would love to redo those. I would love some to do like something that is just not like, get off of these, what is the most popular this year, and maybe do something a little bit like 5 years ago. I really enjoyed the ones where they were like within the last 5 years, that popular, those were really enjoyable for me. That's what I would hope for in fall. I love a good Halloween season spookiness. So I wouldn't mind doing like a witchy themed one where it's not just necessarily like we could do witches, but also like historical fiction about witches where it's like real women. I would love to see that in fall. I love to see that. I would love to see historical fiction witches, but also have a witchy option. Like that would be kind of cool where it doesn't just have to be witches, but Salem Witch Trials kind of level. That would be a really cool challenge, I think. So that's what I would like to see in fall. If you've made it this far, thank you. Like and subscribe down below. Let me know what you think if you do the Goodreads challenges. If not, what do you think a good challenge would be? Maybe we'll make our own challenges. I would love to make some challenges. What are some fun fall challenges? Maybe we could do, let's do some. Let's make our own challenges, folks. Give me some challenge ideas down below. Like, subscribe for me. That would be awesome. Please subscribe. And remember, always bring a book.